personally believe everybody's gut is the exact same way. However, where there's confusion is people either don't listen to their gut, or they listen to their gut and they try to do it in a different way than what their gut's telling them to do it. So their gut's saying like go, but they're going to kind of crawl go. The gut's telling you to run, but you're like crawl going. And so now you're saying your gut was wrong. It's like, no, it gave you a specific direction, but you try to follow the direction in your way.
This is a really interesting question for you that I have for you because you're a business coach. I bet tons of people have already asked the questions that I asked, but I'm really curious. This one, I bet I'm curious if anyone's ever asked you before, which is, what have you learned about yourself from coaching? Because I feel that when you teach, which coaching is a somewhat teaching, it's not, it is and isn't, I feel like, but when I feel like best way to learn is by teaching and working on so many other people and their goals in their business. What has changed about you ever since you've become a business coach, and what have you learned about yourself?
Yeah, Jonah, such a great question, man. You're so good at asking questions. Something I learned, it's funny actually, because I remember, so you know Keston, I believe he's actually been on your podcast in the past.
Yeah.
Um,
I love Keston. He's a great guy.
Phenomenal. And so he and I, we started coaching around the same time actually. And well, you know what? I would say business coaching at least. We started business coaching around the same time. I've been coaching now for almost a decade. A lot of people don't know my past from before entrepreneurial coaching. I coached a sport called parkour. And that's actually where I learned a lot of what I do so well and why I'm able to connect with people and open them up in a very short period of time to get to the point without them feeling personally attacked. They let me in and I'm able to mind shift through their subconscious and we can just work on the things that need to be worked on. So I'm able to address to them, this is what you have to do. And when Keston and I both started doing the business coaching at the same time, he and I were on a phone call together one day. And I just said, dude, you know, it's kind of crazy that the more I find myself coaching other people, the more I find myself going back and reflecting the mirror, putting the mirror on myself and saying, do you deserve to tell this to other people? Because are you living it? And so
Hmm.
I find that the more I work with other people, the more it forces me to clean up my own life, to go and clean up my own closet, right? If you will. Because what happens is if you don't do this as an individual, you start to get out of alignment. And when you start lying, right? Anybody could get away with lying for a little bit. However, that's an external getting away with it. Internally, every time you lie, every time you're out of alignment, what's happening is internally you are chipping away at this armor. You're chipping away at yourself and you're breaking yourself down internally. And so I remembered very early on just giving some advice of, for example, tracking. I said, hey, you guys need to be tracking this, this, and this. Anything, if you want to get better at it, you need to be measuring. If you are not measuring, I'm sorry, you're not making progress. I don't care what you think. You are not making progress unless it is being measured. And I can go without talking to you, go look at either a spreadsheet, a notebook, an image, a graph. I need to be able to go see it. If you can't show that to me, it's not real. Period. And so I'm like telling them this, right? Because it's great advice. But then I'm sitting there thinking, you know what? I'm only measuring these two things, but I really need to be measuring these 10 things. And so I had to go back into my own life and I had to go clean up my own KPI tracking. I had to go clean up my own measuring system. And that allowed me to come back to my people more potent. So every time they bring up an issue, it forces me to assess that issue within myself. And what's super cool about
Hmm.
this, and here's what's fun about coaches, at least the good ones, in my opinion. I got to meet your coach, Mike, phenomenal dude. I can tell he works on himself a lot because ultimately, at the end of the day, at the core, people, we are the same, right? At our core, we're dressed up a little bit differently. We put the package together in different patterns, but we're the same core component parts. And so when we want to understand other people, we have to study people. And the best person we have to study is ourselves because we have full, unlimited, unfiltered access to ourselves 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days in a year. So I spend a lot of time self analyzing and really using myself as my own guinea pig. And I'm sure you're familiar with Tim Ferriss. right?
You're
40-hour or 4-hour
100%.
work week.
Yes.
Yep.
I read that
So
before I was even an entrepreneur.
right. And you know what's funny? I still haven't read his book, but I've consumed his stuff just throughout here.
You
And
don't
one
need to
thing
read that book, to be honest.
yeah,
That book is more for anyways, we want more than that. It's for the
100%.
person who's like 10K a month, I'm good, right? You
Yeah,
know what I mean?
no, that's not enough. It's a good start. It's a good start.
Yeah.
So with Tim Ferriss, though, I heard something from him that resonated with me and stuck with me, which was years ago. I heard him say that everything he does, he uses himself as the first guinea pig. And I said, you know what? That makes sense to me. So a lot of the things I do, I use myself as the first guinea pig. And one of my core values is I believe in speaking the truth all the time. So as a coach, I'm coaching on things that I myself have gone through. However, on occasion, there are times where I go from coach to knowledge broker. And I take off my coaching hat and I put on my knowledge broker hat. And what do I mean knowledge broker? There are times where my clients or people come to me and they ask for advice because I'm always studying, I'm always learning, I'm always putting myself into new environments, I'm gathering information. And so when they ask me something that maybe I myself have not yet experienced, I will let them know, hey, listen, I'm going to share with you what I learned. I have not yet experienced this. So I preface it. I do not have experience in this. I have not gone through this myself yet. However, this is who I learned it from. This is the source of my knowledge. This person has gone through it, or at least they have claimed to go through it. And I believe them based on the evidence that I see. And this is what they say on the matter. Because here's what's really interesting. In a world where all the information exists on these devices, right? Like all the world's information is here on our phones, it's on our laptop, it's on our computer screens. We have access to everything. However, with access to everything, there's information overload. And what I've discovered, I used to think, man, like people, they already know this, they already can find this, they don't need my help getting it. I learned that although they have access to all the information, what they're missing is the interpretation. They're missing how it all fits together. And so when someone is able to come and actually show them how to integrate the information into what they're doing, there's also value in that. So there are times where, as a coach, I am simply guiding them through, holding their hand, walking them through the same experience I've gone through or a similar experience. And then there are times where I take that hat off and I'm putting on my knowledge broker hat. And I'm simply saying, listen, I've already gathered the information for you. I've already done the research. I've already put it together. You understand how my mind thinks and how I break information down into bits and bits and bits. And now I'm going to give it to you as if you had done the research yourself. So I simply did the research for you and I am now presenting it to you. Almost like a lawyer, if you will, right? The
I like
lawyer
it.
goes and does the research for you and presents it for you on your behalf to help you make your case.
I love it. I love it so much, man. It's so fun talking to you. Just like this stuff really intrigues me about like business coach stuff. We could talk about real estate as long as we want, but I feel like this is more interesting because this is now your business in comparison to the last time I saw you on here or the last time you were on here. So I want to give people more value on this type of stuff. Do you have a business coach? I'm kind of curious. Does the coach also have a coach?
Man, such a good question. If you had asked me that question literally a week ago, the answer would have been no. I had a coach, I had a high performance coach who I worked with maybe about a year ago, and she helped unlock some stuff with me. So it was a good experience. It was nice for me to be a student again and to go through that, to have the accountability and things of that nature. And so after consuming the information, I was in a place where I went out to go produce. So I started doing my coaching and I was running in my lane, getting my reps in and doing what I had to do. And so now that I'm ready to take things to the next level, I said, hey, you know what? In real estate, what allowed me to grow was going out and getting a coach and finding a coach. So for my coaching business and my coaching business, I decided I need the same thing. I need to go get a coach again, right? Because I'm telling other people that they need a coach. I need a coach, right? Again, practice what you preach. And so I sat and I prayed on it and I was looking like, hey, God, send me the next right person. I started to put it out into the universe. I started to share with people what I was up to, what I was working on. And through, a series of events, I eventually landed and came across my current coaches now, who I just started working with as of last week. So I'm really excited for the development that's going to be going on there. You're going to see a lot more coming from me here in the next 90 days. You're going to see an explosion from the work in my coaching, in my millionaire mindset community, and my high performance coaching, and just the sort of content that I will be sharing online. So I'm super excited about that. And the coaches I have are actually local here to Arizona, local to Scottsdale. If I weren't flying out, I'm going to go speak on stage this weekend in Vegas. If I weren't flying out, they're actually putting on an event this weekend that I would have loved to have attended, but prior obligations I have to honor.
I love it. I love it so much. It's amazing. And then so we were talking earlier about like you have to be the right person for the right coach. As the non-coach person, how do you know if a coach is right for you, right? Because I know you have a lot of people come to you and just love you because you have your brand and all of that. What do you feel like I should do as not the coach to vet somebody? Because also not everybody is as honorable as you, has done the work. There are some just charlatans out there, right? So how do you
Mhm.
vet really good coaches?
That's a great question. I would say it's so my first answer, and I want to say this as the first answer because it's truly the first thing that comes to my heart and comes to my mind. You got to trust your gut, right? I think too many times we lean on logic for relationships when it comes to connecting with other people. And logic is fine, but logic can be fooled. I know logic can be fooled because when I was in high school, I was a little knucklehead and I used to go on Wikipedia and I would change facts. And I'm like, people are going to come on Wikipedia right after me, read the crap I just made up, and they're going to go and cite that as factual. So I know
Right.
logic can be fooled. However, your gut, your intuition, that's always right. Right. We get red flags about people, and some people we instantly trust. Like I'm sure, Jonah, if I asked you, are there people who you met who are in your life right now, who are part of your circle that you met them and on day one, you just had a feeling about them and you're like, what, this person is my kind of people. And of course, you didn't have any evidence to prove it. But as time has gone on, time has proven that your gut feeling was correct. Would that
I
be a
would say
safe
that's my
assumption?
superpower. My superpower is my gut. So far, every time I follow it, everything works out well. Every time I don't follow it, everything screws up. So far, that's exactly how it's been. So I agree 100%.
100%. So I'm happy to hear you say that because my gut's the same way. And I personally believe this is a personal belief. So take it with a grain of salt. I personally believe everybody's gut is the exact same way. However, where there's confusion is people either don't listen to their gut or they listen to their gut and they try to do it in a different way than what their gut's telling them to do it. So their gut's saying like go, but they're going to kind of crawl, go. The gut's telling you to run, but you're like crawl going. And so now you're saying your gut was wrong. It's like, no, it gave you a specific direction, but you try to follow the direction in your way. You've got to listen to your gut. And then sometimes your gut is telling you something, but because you haven't listened to it for so long, you're bad at translating what it's saying. And so we have to calibrate the language of our gut and just listen to it more, listen to the intuition more. As an entrepreneur, it is your most powerful, most deadly weapon if you learn how to wield it. So that's going to be the first for persons looking at finding a coach. The second thing is it should be someone that you feel comfortable asking any question. You need to be able to. I feel comfortable if I hire someone saying, hey, how much have you earned in your life? Who have you worked with? What sort of people do you work with? How long have you been doing this? Why do you feel so confident that you can help me? What makes you? I'm going to ask those sort of questions if I have any sort of reservations. And if I get any sort of red flags or any sort of feeling like something's off, I'm walking away. If I'm afraid to ask those sort of questions, it means I don't feel comfortable enough with you for this relationship to even work. Because at the end of the day, it's a relationship. It's the same way as like, how would you vet a potential girlfriend who you're thinking about marrying? How would you vet a potential husband who you're thinking about marrying? It would be the same. If I can't have open, honest, vulnerable conversation with you, I'm out, right? Because we won't be able to work together at the highest level. And I need you to turn me into an absolute savage at what I do. That is what I'm paying you for. This isn't therapy, right? And when you're looking for a coach, understand there's a difference between a coach and a therapist. A therapist is going to help you uncover past traumas, things of that nature, which don't let it sound like discrediting that. That's important work to do if you need it. They're going to help you get back to a baseline, to get back to zero. But then when we're talking about getting to the next level and accelerating at the highest level, being a high performer, your coach, their job is to turn on inside of you on command, help you turn on command that higher version of you that you can go. It's like going into the avatar state. If any of my people are, they watch the Avatar, The Last Airbender, your coach
Oh,
is
love
there to
that
help you
show. That
turn
was my
in.
favorite show.
Dude, such a good show, right?
So great.
So I see a coach, their job is to teach you how to get into the avatar state on command. That's my job as a coach. And if I cannot produce, also ask your coach, your coach should tell you this already. Like, they can't tell you this from this jump. They just might be new, or maybe they're not as good yet, or whatever the case is. So you asking them this will actually help them get better at their job. But ask them, what will be the end result of us working together? What will be the
That's
end
such an
result?
interesting question. I like it. Will be the end result of us working together? What would your answer to that be? Let's say I'm doing that. I'm like, Marlon, what would be the end result of us working together?
I love that. So here's the fun thing with me when I do that with people. I sit down, and part of the first thing I start with a person is I actually ask them, what is it that you want to accomplish from working with me?
Flip it on him.
I, I,
I
I
love
truly do. I ask them, because here's the thing. I can tell you, hey, I'm going to turn you into this, this, and this, and this. And none of that crap matters to you. But when you tell me at the very beginning, and this is at my onboarding call, this is before a person actually is even able to sign up with me. And the reason I ask this question is because you're paying me to produce a result in your life. That's why you're paying me. That's why you're handing over your hard-earned cash, because you want me to produce a result for you. So when I ask you that question, I need to make sure that the thing you're asking me to do is something that I feel that I can do. Right? If you tell me, hey, at the end of us working together in the next 12 weeks, I want you to help me buy a matte black yacht that's worth $150 million, but I've never earned more than $50,000 in a year, and I currently work at the post office. Sorry, I'm not the guy. I'm going to politely decline this role because I haven't done that yet. That's not what I practice. That's not what I preach. I don't know how to do that. So you need to find someone else. But here's what you're going to do. After you find that person who can help you do that, when you're done, send them to me, because I want to go learn how to do what you just did. I'll hire that coach. But that's not what I do. So instead, I ask them, what is it that you want from me? And typically people will tell me, right, my ideal client, here's what I like to say to my ideal client. Do you feel like you have all the resources, but you haven't been producing any of the results? You've paid for the courses, you're in the mentorship program, you're a part of the community, you have access to the network, and yet it's been months and you feel like you're doing the work, but nothing's happening. Awesome. You and I should talk. The reason you and I should talk is because if that's where you're at, you're telling me that you don't have an external problem because you have all the external resources already. There's an internal problem. There's a issue going on with your subconscious. Your self-image is currently that of where you used to be, and you're trying to create a new life, but you're trying to create a new life as the old person. And so what I'm going to do with you is I'm going to sit down and we're going to talk about how do we transform your self-image? How do we change the way you view yourself internally so that you are now in alignment with the goals and with the life that you desire? Because you have to become the new version first. You have to actually, and this is a hard thing for people to conceptualize because intellectually it seems out of order, but the sequence is be, do, have. Right? First, you become who it is you want to be, then you take the action, and then you create the result. A lot of people are going with do, right? They think I just got to do the stuff, and then I'll become the person, and then I'll have the results. But the problem is, who's doing the action? Is it the same old version of you with all the doubt, all the disbelief, all the imposter syndrome?
So
Is
true,
that the
dude.
person picking up the phone and doing the work? Is that the person going to the meeting? Is that the person trying to close the deal? because that person's energy vibrationally, it's like me not having any self-confidence and someone's telling me all you have to do is walk into the club, walk up to the prettiest girl and to say, hi, my name is Marlon, and it's all going to work out. And so I keep doing this after over and over and over. I talk to 1,000 girls and I get turned down by all 1,000. Why? Because who's doing the work? It's Marlon with no confidence. It's Marlon who's low vibration. It's Marlon who has low energy. And now, funny enough, the more action I take is reinforcing this result that I believe my expectation of what's going to happen is being reinforced, which is a negative expectation. I've got to flip the script and I got to work on the being. And so when I work with people, I show them how to shift the self image because you cannot outperform your self image. You cannot outperform it. Now, even if you do temporarily outperform it, what will happen is it's like thermostat in the house, right? If the thermostat is set to 70 degrees and it's a hot summer day and I open the window and hot air starts to blow in and it warms the room up to 80, thermostat registers that the room's at 80, it's going to kick on the AC and it will begin to push cold air through the vent, bringing the temperature back down to 70. If it's a cold winter day and I open the window and cold breeze comes in and the room cools and chills down to 60, thermostat's going to register that the temperature is at 60. It's going to kick on the heater, pump warm air through the AC vents, and it's going to bring the temperature back up to 70 because the thermostat is set. It's your self-image. If your self-image says, this is my life, I drive beat up Honda Civic, I only earn $40,000 a year, I don't have a lot of friends, you're going to always come back to this. So even if maybe a deal lands on your lap and you shoot up and you make 70K, what's going to happen is next year things will balance back out and you'll maybe only make 20K to bring you right back smack dab in the middle. So although we can't outperform our self-image, I don't even worry about trying to outperform our self-image. Instead, what we focus on doing is we work on changing the self-image so that now the self-image, the new baseline, the new thermostat measure is no longer 70 degrees. I bump it up to 90 degrees because that's where the life I want lives. The life I want lives at this temperature. So I need to raise the thermostat so that I can be there.
I love it so much, my man. Absolutely, absolute fire as always. We're coming to the end of the podcast. I have one last question I'm going to ask you, and we'll go a little bit over because I think this is the most important or one of the most important questions that I'm asking at the very end, right? I ask this to every guest. This is how I've been ending the podcast, and I've been really liking it. If you, Marlon, could go back to when you were starting in entrepreneurship with everything you know now, all your business coaching knowledge, everything you've learned, what would you say to that person? Knowing everything that you know now?
Okay, so the first way I'm going to answer this question is 'cause I've thought about time travel a bajillion times. And the fact is, like, I would time travel, but I would time travel just as an observer. I would never change anything because I absolutely love everything about where I'm at. However, I like to answer this with like if I was talking to another person, right? If I was talking to like, someone
Sure.
who's in my exact same position, they're sitting on a park bench, and I can impart some advice. What I would say is two things. I would give them the advice that my first mentor gave me that I totally did not listen to because I asked him a question very similar to this the day I got started. And I said to him, I said, Pip, I just registered for your course. I'm excited to get started, but I want to know after everything you've done over the last 2+ decades, you know things now. And let me ask you, what's something that you know now that you realize you could have been implementing on day one that you didn't need to wait all these 20 years, that had you just simply understood this, you actually could have just been doing it on day one? Jonah, he said to me, simple, immediately go for big deals. Don't waste your
Hmm.
time on small deals. Go straight for big deals. And although I heard that advice, emotions kicked in. I was scared, right? Big numbers, big deals, it all scared me.
Yep.
And so I still played small and I went through and did my own thing anyway. And so as time went on, I've done bigger deals and I realized it's the same amount of work. Actually, I would even argue that it's less work doing bigger deals than it is smaller deals because relative to the work, the payout is so much larger. So when the payday occurs, the work actually feels much smaller as a comparison to what you receive as a result. So the first thing I would tell someone is, believe it or not, trust in yourself, have faith in yourself to go bigger as far as setting your goal on bigger things. Now, although you set your goals on big things, you are still going to start small. You're still going to eat that elephant one bite at a time. However, imagine yourself eating an elephant versus just a chicken, right? Set the goal to eat the elephant versus just the chicken, because everything that you don't understand is going to be equally confusing until you learn it. So that would be number one. Number two that I would tell is very much like we talked about at the beginning of this episode: let go of worrying of what other people think about you. It's doing you no good to be concerned with the criticism of those who are only ever going to simply observe and never actually get into the arena. So, as a player on the court, I am way less concerned with what the people in the stands think about my performance. I am more concerned with me focusing on what I need to do. And I put the blinders on and I cut out the noise. So this is something I've become very, very passionate about. I'm happy that I have this ability now to let go. And I'm still not perfect. I'm still human. I'm still a pack animal. I still want to be a part of community. However, I now understand what my standards are, and I set my life to my standards and no longer set my life to the standards of others. And on occasion, when I find myself defaulting and going with the flow of the mediocre many, I'm grateful that I have good enough people in my life who can kind of grab me and you'll shake me awake and remind me to focus on my mission, to focus on my goal, and to run my race.
I love it so much, bro. I copy a lot from you. I don't know if you know that, but I copy a lot of different things. When I hear you speak, I'm going to copy that. What you just said it. When I follow the flow of the mediocre many or something like that, I might have just fucked that up,
Mhm.
what you just said, but that was incredible. I'm going to say that way more. My man, we are coming to the end. I got to end it and I got to catch a flight, but you are amazing. How can people reach out to you for coaching? It sounds like it's the main thing you're doing, I'm pretty sure. So if somebody wants you as their coach, how do they reach out to you?
Yeah. So, if first off, Jonah, thank you so much for having me here, man. Like, it's seriously epic. I love that you make time for this. I love that you make time for me. You've been consistent as hell. Episode 96. Shout out to you, bro. I remember when you
Wow.
said you were gonna be doing these podcast episodes, and you have not missed a beat, which is insane. Like, people start things and only the real ones finish. Only the real ones follow through. So shout out to you
It
for
is
being a real one.
impressive. I appreciate you. It's crazy how many people can't just do 1 hour a week of the same thing forever. It's wild. I'm like,
It's
wow, this
nuts.
is why I win. This is why I win, is I'm willing to do this for the next 300 days, 500 weeks, 600 weeks, 1,000 weeks. We're just going to keep doing it and see what
Dude,
happens.
I love it.
But
I absolutely love it. So, yeah, man, appreciate you for that. If anyone wants to get connected, if anyone wants to do any coaching with me, it's real simple. Just go to coach.mindsetmarlin.com. There you will be able to fill out the application. So it's the word coach.mindsetmarlin, my Instagram name.com. You'll fill out an application. And from there, you will be able to, we'll book a discovery call if your application goes through, and we'll have a conversation about that. As of right now, I'm not bringing on any new people. Like, coaching is filled out for the next couple of weeks. But as I open it up, if your application is in there, it will be first come, first serve. I will go through and talk to the individuals based on who qualifies. Things will change a little bit, but it's going to be based on qualification. And if anyone wants to connect and maybe you're like, hey, coaching isn't yet, I'm not ready for coaching, but I want to be a part of a community of minded people, follow me on Instagram, because on my Instagram, in my link tree, there's a way to connect and get into my free Facebook group where I get minded entrepreneurs to come together to talk about this kind of stuff, to talk about mindset. And we have just a lot of cool stuff going on. So connect with me there and stay plugged in with Jonah. These are the sort of people I personally connect with. Like, Jonah is one of those guys that I get excited about seeing. In fact, I think you're coming out to town next week, right?
in 2 weeks, bro, in 2 weeks, two or
Dude,
3 weeks, I'll be in the middle of November.
awesome. I'm looking forward to having you back in town, bro.
It's gonna be fun, dude. And by the way, we got to talk, because if you're not accepting new clients, we need to get you hiring some coaches, bro. We need to turn this into a operation. Do you have any coaches below you yet?
Dude, not yet. That's actually what I'm excited
All right,
about. Like,
that's your
I
next
will
step.
be. I will be bringing on coaches in the future. So I'm laying the people that get in right now. I'm just letting everyone know right now. I'm not going to say this is going to be the best time to ever get in, but like people that get in early, y'all are going to be a part of something really freaking epic because the vision I have for this is just absolutely unmatched. I have aspirations, and what will happen is I'm growing this thing to be as large as people are familiar with, like Tony Robbins and Dean Graziosis. My name, I will be, as those men start to filter out of the space, I will be the person coming in and basically replacing them, same as Bob Proctor. And I look up to these men. I absolutely love these men. I will be their replacement, and I will be making a
100%.
spot of my own up there.
I'm so ready for it, my man. So, guys, since basically this is more or less Marlon's podcast because the vast majority of the audience is his audience, I don't know. I want to talk to you about how you're getting 242 people to show up to a live. That's pretty sick. I see one of your guys, Christopher Webb. When is your next live stream? I don't know if that's towards me, but if you guys want to subscribe to my channel as well, which is just my name, Jonah Korchin, JONAHKORCHIN. I interview tons of entrepreneurs, Marlon, a lot on my podcast, Skorch the Fears. I have another podcast where I answer any questions related to real estate on Mondays, 9:15 a.m. MST. Scorch the Fears kind of changes around depending on what the guest needs. And then I've got tons of content about real estate investing, a lot with real estate agents and real estate wholesaling. So if you enjoyed this podcast and you enjoy the way that I interview people, hit comment on it and then subscribe and hit the notification bell on my channel, and vice versa for mine to Marlon's. He has an insane amount of content. That's why my name. So Christopher. Just literally look up my name. That's how you spell it. That's my name. You can find me on YouTube. You can find me on Instagram, but definitely YouTube is going to have more of this, the sauce. Subscribe to me there. Hit the notification bell. Marlon, you're amazing. I have a few ideas of some stuff we can do, by the way. You asked me that last time I saw you, and then I thought about it. So I'm going to be texting you.
Oh,
I got to get on this flight, though. Do you have any last things before I wrap this up?
dude, I just want to say I appreciate you, bro. I love you, man. I'm looking forward to hanging out with you. And I just dropped your IG inside there because I want people, guys,
It's my
go and
name. Everything
follow
is my
Jonah.
name.
Yeah,
Everything's my
go
name. So
follow
just look
Jonah.
it up.
Yeah, especially if y'all are doing real estate, especially if you're doing direct agent. Like he's the GOAT. Like, this is the guy. Like this, what I love about you, Jonah, is you got specific on what it is you do, and you rode your lane, and now you are the best at what you do. And it is so easy to refer people to you because I know exactly what value they're going to get from you. I don't have to worry that they're going to
Yep.
come back and be like, yeah, he was a letdown. Like, no, he's literally going to be able to help you in that. What you can help people in a lot of ways, but like, there's one thing that you do better than everybody else. That's direct to agent. And I love referring you out to people because it is so hard to find good people to send other people to. So I love that
I
about you, bro.
appreciate it, bro. It's the exact same thing to you. I appreciate you. Any last words, or was that the last words?
Dude, my last words is I love Jonah. Love you, bro. Looking forward to hanging out again. And guys, I will hopefully be back on Scorched the Fears. Hopefully, Jonah invites me back on in the
You
future.
will 100% be back at some point. I love you too, dude. I can't wait to see you in November. Guys, this is Skorch the Fears, episode 96. Let's freaking go!